Hi, this is Naroki5. I am going to be doing this until I die or I find something better to do. So please help me achieve this personal and, I think, noble objective by contributing to my Patreon or Subscribestar. Link is down below. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much.
And welcome everybody to the Red Pill Nation Hangout number 364. As always, it's going to be an interesting show tonight. I will get into the topics. As always, I am your host and reasonably sane chair, Naroki5. With me tonight is of course Rierson. And in case you were wondering what happened to him at 362, well, we got a hold of ex-President Trump and probably soon to be ex-President Trump, and he confirmed some stuff for us. So here was his message to us when he got back to us.
This one.
I can personally vouch for the fact.
Oh, come on, not again.
That Steve Rierson has been kidnapped by Justin.
Of course, right?
Yep. You already sent it to me, so no, I know what it is. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, right? It was playing just fine when I played it the first time, and now it's fucking locking up. Okay, here we go again. Oh, come on.
I can personally vouch for the fact that Steve Rierson has been kidnapped by Justin Trudeau and is getting ball gagged and pounded in the ass by Justin dressed in a gimp suit. It's completely true. Believe me, the deep state is deep in Steve at the moment.
Rierson, introduce yourself.
You fucker. It's going to be one of those shows tonight, folks. Oh. But end of the jokes, but I was just so freaking wiped yesterday. Anyway. Wow. I got nothing to say to that one except it's entirely if I was gay. Or at least swung both sides of the plate, which I don't. I assure you folks. I could do a hell of a lot better than the turd.
In a gimp suit.
With a gimp suit and freaking ball gags. Like I want to be making some woman gagging my balls, but what guy doesn't? Well, what straight guy does? Or I suppose what bisexual man that's feeling wants to play with the opposite side of opposite team wouldn't want to. Especially if she's Asian and she's got nice head boobs. I'm sure even better. But normally I would say no, that shit don't happen with me.
Korean and Asian women with big boobs and the world will be the path to your door. If she's got a nice rack, you'll be competing with me. All right. So
yep. Anyway.
That's right, folks. Here at the Red.
I was going to say, other than that, I do hope that Justin is visiting, has a one-way trip to Guantanamo Bay, and that's all I'm going to say. So, all yours.
All I'm going to say is if you want conversation about boobs and all sorts of just sexual innuendo, combined with deep, cutting, incisive political commentary, we are definitely the show for you. And just remember, what's our standard, Rierson?
We have standards? I didn't know we did.
Yeah, exactly. One standard, no standard. Okay, so let's get into the show tonight. For those of you who don't know, I am at YouTube, but I only post up there. I don't share anything there. Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Brighteon, MGTOW TV, Facebook. I still have my Facebook account, incredibly enough. Mine's Gab, MeWe, Getter, TLB Talks, and that is pretty much about it for now. I'm not going to go into for the nth week in a row about how I keep meaning to get my content loaded up onto iTunes and Spotify. At some point, it'll happen. I don't know when that is going to be. It's probably not going to be anytime soon. So with that, let's get into the start of the show here. So the topics tonight, we only got six, and a lot of it's some very interesting stuff. One, U.S. Supreme Court rule states can't remove Trump from ballot. That one got a lot of sparking out. Two, YouTube fires entire woke staff in Austin, Texas, live and online. Oh my God, that one was just I'm gonna find a video for that one and load it up. Topic number 3, Sweet Baby Inc. cover is blown as consultants who force DEI into video games. This is we might be covering this one for a lot. This is turning into a Gamergate Part 2 at this point.
Yeah, it is.
For Doritos almost goes Bud Light but pulls back from the edge. That one's also a very interesting story. Topic number 5, the debacle that was the State of the Union address. Oh my God, was it ever a debacle? There's a whole bunch of stuff that happened around that State of the Union address that just, like, oh my God. Biden just embarrassed himself again. The only thing he didn't do was shit himself while he was talking. And topic number 6, and those of you who think this is a gossip topic, well, we cover the manosphere on this, and this has to be discussed because it is a manosphere topic. Gisele Bündchen was cheating on Tom Brady. And if you don't know who Tom Brady is, well, even if you don't follow sports and you don't know who Tom Brady is, you've been living under a fucking rock. Sorry. But with that, let's actually get into the show proper, starting with, of course, the U.S. Supreme Court ruling. Now, this one was...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but do you not have to get on your knees and show?
I did already show. Oh, yeah. Okay. Patreon as the Red Pill Nation. Patreon as Naroki 5 subscribe star as the Red Pill Nation. There, that's it. Done with the shilling for now. Okay, so then... Oh, come on. Now what's going on? Oh, all right, come on. There we go. All right. Let's get this party started. Okay, so there had been at least 2 states, Colorado and Maine, that had tried, and both of them tried it different ways. One of them tried it via the executive order. The other one tried it out via courts. There were 2 other states, Illinois, and I'm trying to remember the other one. I think it was Virginia, that were trying to do it via legislative order, and it hadn't quite gone through. But of course, they had all had one. Maine and Colorado had several things in common. One, they're both blue states, where both their House, Senate, and governorship are currently controlled by Democrats, and both of them, it's based upon what I'm seeing is what was going on here is that the Democrat Party was basically trying to find a legal method. And this is why the one in Virginia was so important, because Virginia is kind of a swing state, was the fact that they were trying really, really hard to find some sort of legal apparatus to take Trump off the ballot. Now, what happened in Colorado was that when they tried this, well, Trump ended up winning. I think Trump ended up winning Colorado anyway, for the Republican nomination. I don't think he lost one. He's lost one right to Nikki Haley, and this should come as no surprise, and that would be the District of Columbia. But Colorado use the bogus, and it has been proven bogus because it would not have held up to a legal challenge anyway. The issue that Trump was engaged in quote unquote sedition for attempting to overthrow the government on January 6th. We all know that that was not the case, but they tried it anyway. It was not it wasn't a unanimous vote in the Colorado Supreme Court, but basically it enabled they used it as a pretense to remove Trump from the ballot. Now, what happened in Maine is that the Attorney General of Maine just decided that she was going to take Trump off the ballot, period. And she just did. She didn't consult with anybody. She just did. Now, what was going on in Illinois, and I think the other state was Virginia, is that they were trying a legislative attempt to get rid of Trump, which means that it had to go through the House, and then had to go through the Senate, and then the governor had to sign. It hadn't reached the governor's office yet, but it doesn't matter anymore, because what ended up happening is that Trump immediately appealed it, and it went from because it was the Colorado Supreme Court, it got immediately kicked up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And of course, it was immediately heard, despite the fact that the Democrats tried to pull multiple legal tricks to try to delay the hearing on this vote as long as humanly possible. And the Supreme Court said, no, that you're not going to do that. We're going to hear this right away because this is about the presidential race. So they heard the case, and it was 9-0 in favor of basically saying that the states cannot remove Donald Trump from the ballot based upon the legal precedents that they had put forward. The Attorney General in Maine cannot just arbitrarily take somebody off a presidential vote that doesn't even apply to that state. They can't legislate at the state level as to who's going to run for president, because it's not a state level issue. And the Colorado case, well, I mean, that was just a violation of the law, period. There was never any conviction for Donald Trump on this case. He was never taken into court over it, and he was never convicted. Yes, there was a vote in Congress about it. The only problem is that the vote in Congress happened after Donald Trump was no longer president, which means that it no longer applied. Regardless of the situation, the vote, even the Biden appointed judges, it was unanimous, 9-0. And of course, right, suddenly with all the leftists, who, by the way, pulled a massive spurg out. All of a sudden, the Supreme Court is authoritarian and it's dictatorship, and it has no intent. It's just a tool for Trump and blah. Of course, this didn't matter though when they were dealing with the Kavanaugh hearings or any of the other stuff or any of the rulings that, for the most part, over the last 50, 60 years, that had gone in favor of the Democrats. All of a sudden it's the Supreme Court is no longer a viable tool. It needs to be eliminated, or we need to add more seats, or blah, or something or other. And I have to point out something here, because we have covered this on the Red Pill Nation. There was a push at one point. It didn't get very far, but there was a push at one point to expand the Supreme Court to 13 seats in an attempt to stack the Supreme Court against the Republicans. It didn't go anywhere, but they tried. So, boo piddly fucking who for the Democrats. I'm sure in all three cases there were people well, and specifically with Colorado and Maine, because I don't think it had gotten through the Illinois. I don't think it had gotten through in either Illinois or the other state, which I think was Virginia. There were also moves, and curiously, these were all blue states to do the exact same thing. However, there were a couple of swing states in there: Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada. There were swing states in there that were attempting to remove Trump from the ballot. They will no longer be able to do so. I have zero sympathy for the hypocrites on the left who were celebrating openly about this, because I mean, I knew this wasn't going to withstand the legal challenge. What I wasn't expecting was a 9-0 declaration against this as an idea. And I mean, when we get to when we get to the State of the Union address, I will bring you up to speed with yet another issue that this current administration is doing towards somebody who's doing memes on Twitter about the Democrats and the actual State of the Union address. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Rearson.
You know, this is alive and well when Mark Hamill starts to open up his fucking mouth again. Back at it again, folks. I saw his post on Twitter, and if he wasn't Luke Skywalker, I would want the guy to just eat shit and die and disappear. This is election interference at its finest. I mean, there was enough shenanigans that went on with the ballot harvesting. I guess that's about the only way to say it. In Arizona, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Those were the three that come to mind. I can't remember the other ones. I think there might have been one or two more. But, or again, it just came down to overnight. All of a sudden, boom. Biden out of nowhere, who had no crowds to speak of compared to Trump, just pulled a miracle out of his senile, decrepit ass. But, and the changes that were pushed through, my apologies for going off on a bit of a tangent here, but this is really not that surprising. Now, I have my questions about the validity of the Supreme Court at this point, within the alts community, truther community, whatever you want to call it. The speculation is that it's really Clarence Thomas is the only one that's around. Now, but much like that they fudged the numbers or fudged things for Ruth Bader Ginsburg for the remainder of her, I don't know, last year, maybe two that she was alive. You're gonna have to agree with what Naroki basically said with the left losing their shit on it. It's pretty bloody fucking convenient when we're all guilty of this. Let's not kid ourselves. You sure as hell like institutions when it rules in your favor. But when it goes against you, you're not going to be terribly happy. We're all guilty of that. However, more mature individuals will realize, well, can't do a thing about it, so I've got a choice to either fight it or accept it and just try to move on. I don't speak for anybody else here, but I'm pretty sure Naroki's in the same boat that I am, which would basically be, it's like, well, did I get it? Great. All right, wonderful. I can do something else. And if I lost, and there's really no way to make the situation better, well, then it is what it is. And again, when it comes to elections, there are procedures that they can do what they want on the state level, but this has set the precedent across the board. completely across the board that you can't do this. I mean, really, what this comes down to is what I know that Trudeau would love to do in Canada, and that he's not that far away from it. But I'm not worried. But this, folks, is what happens when you have a banana republic. And it's only because of SCORE's, the Supreme Court of the United States of the US, that they're able to actually make this stop. So that puts the debate on hold. And again, woke idiots like Mark Hamill was like, well, let's see what stupid shit you're gonna do now. I think it was something to the effect of, I voted for 4 years for no more orange, something to that effect, to come back at it again. And what this has done as well is that it has made people like Robert De Niro lose his shit. So the chatter, again, in the alt media truther communities, that simply put, these people know that they're up shit creek because they've done really nasty stuff. Really nasty stuff. Not saying they did, but those that scream the loudest have the most to lose. Let's not kid ourselves, folks. So expect more useless, frivolous spurging out, not just of the left, but from Hollywood specifically. And it's going to be stupid, and it's going to be a mess. It's going to be messy. And I can't wait to see what actually happens at this point now going forward. So I'll have to look at that shortly here with what you posted up here. So at the end of it, I couldn't see how this could be justified. I mean, how many trials, how many court cases, how many things as... But then again, too, I'm still of the opinion that Trump actually is the commander-in-chief behind the scenes, because allegedly that Biden, whoever it is, has never gotten the nuclear football. That's always been in his possession, in Trump's possession. But he never conceded to losing the election. So take that however you will. So that's all I'm going to say on this one. So let's move on.
Okay, yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on. This one was just we knew it wasn't going to.
Unlike Mark Hamill, let's move on. Oh, that's a nasty way to put it.
Oh well, I mean, poor Mark Hamill. It's I mean, he's literally just spurred out so much on Twitter that, I mean, I'm almost at the point where I'm like he's actually starting to sour my interest in the actual original Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, like how I feel about Kevin Spacey. With anything that he's been.
Well, I mean, it's I mean, it's just, it's like he just literally, oh, well, I'm passionate about it. Well, I mean, for me, it's like attacking a fucking 3-year-old, right? Like when Trump's 3-year-old son was wearing a Jedi costume, and he absolutely lost it because Trump's 3-year-old son was wearing a Jedi costume. And I mean, he didn't just lose it, like he literally just, and it was like there are people on that post, and it was like there are people like jumping on, and I would point out to them that they're attacking a 3-year-old, and it wouldn't sink in with them.
Well, that's what happens when one, and this is going to apply for Sweet Baby Inc. Listen to Jordan Peterson talk about people having to, especially boys, but people having to deal with really bad things happening early on in their life and to have that be the most awful thing that's ever happened to them. So that way, when they're faced with actual real life scenarios, it's like, well, compared to this experience, whatever that experience was, this isn't so bad. So anything that pisses off Hollywood at this point for me is good enough. I hate saying it that way, but that's really what it comes down to. And I don't think that you're any different than I am.
Oh no, I'm not. I've just about pretty much like, I mean, again, like I told you, I have maybe I should have announced this in the personal section. I have when I was out at working this last 2 week run, I literally have just decided I'm not going to be pursuing shooting any live action, at least not for, it might be permanently, but it's not going to be for a while. One, I haven't got the time, because every time I've had to come in from the camp that I work at, it's like, I mean, I've got a fucking doctor's appointment at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It's just like, it's been like every single week that I've come in, there's been just an endless pile of things that I have to do, right? And it's, I haven't got time. I mean, between this and my actual day job and some of the other things I've got going on in my life, it's like piling on. Trying to shoot live action content right now is just not, it's not going to work. So, I mean, I have to completely back away from it. But with that, let's move on to the next topic. Oh, and this one is just, oh God, this one is just extra special. This one just absolutely blows my mind. Okay. YouTube had, I don't know, I'm actually gonna check my oh, hey V, welcome aboard. Maybe we just moved on from the first topic. Do you have anything to say about the US Supreme Court ruling that Trump cannot be removed from any of the ballots? Perfect time, because I was just about to start topic number 2.
Well,
After your introduction, of course.
I am V, host of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show, special projects director of TLBTalk.com. That's right, new freedom speech social network, TLBTalk.com. If you want to say hello, well, I'm very easy to find. Type in V, or, whatever, look around, you might find me. But yes, well, I once heard this famous speech. You got 9 judges, you got 9 Supremes in the courtroom, and they're chicken scratch. You got 9 of these people who's supposed to serve 250 million people. It's not possible, man. Your government is a shell of madness. It's a game. Where'd that come from? Can anybody take a guess? That's Manson. Yes, I pulled out a Manson quote on the show. Anyways, yes, that's how I feel about it too. So whatever, Trump's still on the ballot. Hey, that's great. The system works for some people. All right, let's move on. Hello, is this thing on?
Yeah, no, I just needed to check something on the app before I moved on here. Because the next topic is a real doozy. Because it happened live on TV while we were talking to the Austin City Council. So this next one I think you'll find rather interesting. So YouTube Music, which is not based in California, it's based in, you should probably be sitting down for this because I'm sure you'll all be shocked because it's the one place in Texas where you would expect it to be, Austin. Now, YouTube Music,
Austin City Limits, woo woo!
Yep, exactly. Well, I mean, the thing about Austin is that YouTube Music is based out of there, and they decided to, and they did, apparently the vote was unanimous, to unionize. And they went to YouTube and they made a whole bunch of demands and whatever, and they just continued working, and YouTube just kept putting negotiations off. So what literally happened, and I swear to God, I'm not lying about this. I'm actually going to have to find the video and download it here. The head of YouTube Music was addressing the Austin City Council, talking about their plans, and I think he was even going off into some wokeisms. And what literally happened is that one of the underlings at YouTube Music came up and announced,
if your name's been called and the microphone's free, please come forward.
In the middle of
Just
City
state your name for the
Council
record.
that YouTube has
my name
fired
is
the
Katie Marie
entire
Marshner.
YouTube Music staff in Austin, Texas.
Please go ahead.
My name's Katie Marie Marshner. I work for YouTube Music in Austin, and I'm a member of the Alphabet Workers Union, CWA Local 9009. As my colleague Catalina Cruz mentioned earlier, our office is comprised of artists, musicians, and music industry professionals in Austin, Texas. Even though we work for 2 Fortune 100 companies, we are paid just $19 an hour at a job that requires a bachelor's degree and 3 years of experience working in the music industry. Everyone in this room can agree that that is not a livable wage in this city. Until 9:50 this morning, I had a speech written out where I intended to talk about how important the passage of Agenda Item 100 is to our union. However, it seems that yesterday Google reached out to members of City Council requesting that the vote on Agenda Item 100 be delayed. In fact, Google has attempted to delay bargaining with us at every turn in this campaign. Google and their trumped-up Jones Day lawyers can try to delay all they want, but we will not stop fighting, and we will not stop winning as we have in every fight with them thus far. The NLRB has ruled on 2 occasions that they are joint employers of me and my coworkers, and that they must bargain with us. Instead of following the law, Google refused to bargain with us, instead opting to waste more of our time to have this fight in the DC Circuit Court. For its part, Cognizant also has violated labor law by refusing to bargain and by implementing various union-busting policies in our office, such as the clean room policy that leaves us unable to bring our phones, personal computers, pens, or papers into the office. Under this new policy, our union is not even able to circulate petitions in the workplace. If the vote on Agenda Item 100 was delayed because certain council members didn't have enough information, I ask that each member of City Council reaches out to us, the union, not Google executives who are not constituents of yours. Please reach out to us. We would love to talk to you about the issues that we're facing in our workplace. The passage of the YouTube Music resolution is not only important to workers at YouTube Music, but to all workers in Austin fighting for a fair union contract. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jack Benedict. Confess I feel a little bit underdressed, but I wanted to represent our union. We're a small team, but we're very mighty. So, I work for YouTube Music here in Austin, part of the Alphabet Workers Union, and I'd like to thank the council and specifically Councilmember Kadri for sponsoring this resolution and all the other co-sponsors. It's been over a year since we first went on strike over our employers' return to office policy. Now, this isn't because we just didn't want to go into an office, but essentially it was a layoff against a large percentage of our team who didn't live in the Austin area. Again, in September, we went on strike over our employers' refusal to bargain with our union. To this day, they refuse to come to the negotiating table, and Google still refuses to acknowledge us as their employees, even after countless losses in court which say the contrary. Needless to say, this has been a long fight. We've had many victories, such as unanimously winning our union election and having the NLRB declare Google and Cognizant as joint employers. But we still have work to do. We are disappointed to learn that this resolution has been delayed, but we can wait another month. We've been in this fight for a long time, and as far as I'm concerned, we have the council's support, and we have already won. So the passing of this resolution is yet another victory and another step in pressuring our employers to come to the negotiating table and bargain in good faith. There are less than 50 of us at YouTube Music, and we're taking on two of the largest corporations in the world. So to be supported by the city of Austin and also our allies in the labor community, give us the motivation to keep this fight going.
Not to interrupt, but they just laid us all off.
Oh.
Yeah, they just laid us all off.
We just all
Our jobs are ended today, effective immediately.
Wow.
I'm sorry your time's expired, but we'll follow up on this. Thank you.
Mayor, that concludes all the consent speakers.
Like everybody. And, well, the guy was processing all that since he was actually addressing the Austin City Council at the time. He ran out of time. So before he got started again, the Austin City Council announced to him that he was out of time. Now, again, I don't want to be heartless, and I understand that unions have a purpose. The issue here is that both Google and YouTube, like Google just engaged in I think they laid off 30,000 people at the start of the year, and YouTube also recently did a round of layoffs. So they wouldn't have done that if there was money available. But this group in Austin, because they were so woke and so with it, and they wanted the workers of the world unite and everything. And by the way, I am got to point out that I am not down on the concept of unions. You know, unions have served a great purpose. They have kept really, and I have heard horror stories about some really shitty employers over the years. There is a movie that Matt Damon was in called Elysium, which actually is a demonstration of what a total free, like a completely corporatized society would look like. So, you know, I'm not against the concept of unions at all. But the way these guys had gone about it and the way they got fired was just well, I mean, again, because it's YouTube, because these people were based out of Austin, and because I've read this in a couple places, and I heard this what influence coming from Jeremy Hemling from the Quartering. These people were probably all woke idiots to start out with, who should have been quite grateful that they had the jobs that they had. And some of these people were probably making damn near six figures. And they decided to go and unionize anyway when they were probably making enough money to live better than most of the people currently that exist in Austin, Texas. But they decided to unionize and go after YouTube when it was already it started to find itself in financial trouble anyway. I wasn't expecting YouTube to get so pissed off that they would like literally just go, oh no, we're not going to negotiate with you yet, you're all fired, bye. And I was like, okay. And then of course having it happen at the city council meeting, and then having city council go, I'm sorry, you're out of time, you can't address us anymore, happened like literally like less than 60 seconds later. I get it. You know, I'm supposed to maybe feel sympathy for this crowd. These are likely, almost all of them are people who cannot not mind their own fucking business, right? YouTube at one point tried to delete try that in a small town off their platform. And they've also throttled Tom Robinson, I think his name is, or Tom McDonald. They've also throttled Tom McDonald's content. So unless you know the proper spelling for Tom McDonald, you can't get to his stuff. So, and these people probably happily and willingly went along with all of that stuff without a second hesitation. So do I feel sorry for these people? Yes, no. If you're making six figures and you're having trouble making ends meet, your lifestyle is obviously too expensive for what you're doing, and you need to make adjustments. People don't have to make adjustments around you to accommodate your lifestyle. I know that jobs in the tech sector are hard to come by and that people are losing jobs left, right, and center. But they decided that they were going to unionize and try to go after YouTube, which is in financial trouble anyway, and it backfired on them in a very spectacular fashion. And because it's YouTube, I have very limited sympathy for them. They did this to themselves. Yeah, I'm sorry that they chose to make such a stupid move, but they chose to do it. It's called action equals consequences. And, given that it's YouTube, given how YouTube's been acting, given how a lot of its employees have been acting, I find it very hard to feel. I do feel sorry for them, but my sympathy is very limited. Again, they did this to themselves. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, that's my hometown you're talking about there. Grew up in Austin, Texas. Yeah, our slogan, keep it weird. And yeah, it's the little blue spot in the middle of a red state. Even though I hear that it's become more like LA now, because all the tech companies want to move there, and they did. I know it's true because I was a part of the first round. My mom's company moved us from Lubbock, Texas to Austin, paid for our house even. And so she could work there from Texas Instruments. She worked there 20 years. So it's a lot of the tech companies that have coming in waves from around the world to come be in Austin, Texas. So that's why I think a lot of these organizations feel like they have a lot more power than they do, because Texas is just becoming one of those capitals, those weird capitals. It's been declared food capital of the world and then music capital of the world. So there's a bit of an arrogance that goes along with being an Austonian. Yeah, I should know. I graduated from a white-collar school and was there in little suburbia for quite some time. So, yeah, I mean, I know. I know all the attitudes that you can run into while you're there. And decentralizing YouTube, great move, but yeah, good luck with that, right? I think it was a bold move. I don't know much about being in a union, but I do know the tyranny of just being employed by some heartless corporation, which is why I've been self-employed most of my life. So, yeah, I have no opinions about it whatsoever. But yeah, Austin city limits. You can go to any bar, and at least one of the TVs will be on Austin city limits with music going. Uh, it's a place where all the greats would play. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan, just name one of a few, was on Austin City Limits all the time. Yeah, I mean, Austin City Council is not a place where you think that you can get anything done, unless you're talking money, whether it's borrowing money from the city or giving money to the city in a project. Everything else pretty much goes by the wayside. You know, city council members not getting their padded pay. You know what I mean? So if they wanted to get somewhere, they should have probably put a few of those ducats in their pockets if they wanted to be heard. I know that's corruption, but that, again, is how the game's played, because you know it happened from the other end, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's all I have to say on that.
Rierson.
Given my love to hate feelings towards YouTube and the chicanery, the fuckery, and all of that fun, wonderful stuff, sadly, I don't really feel sorry for them. Yeah. But then again, given the house cleaning of what happened at X Twitter, whatever you want to call it, when Musk or whoever the hell's playing Musk came in with the kitchen sink, and most of the employees, I don't feel like working today, or I'm just going to be fluffing off, or whatever. Like, productivity was apparently, allegedly, damn near non-existent. That came down to a case of fuck around and find out, and they were fucking around for so long they thought that nothing was going to happen and everything would be fine when he took over. So maybe someone actually got wise to the possibility of and brought it in the union, and I should know, again, because I've made the same fucking mistake with my employer, and I wish I didn't. But then again, I wish I never met that female that encouraged the idea. But it was what it was, and 2 years later, I ended up getting a 3% raise, which equated to 13, maybe 16 cents an hour raise. But I would get another 3% raise 6 months later. It would take me 5 fucking years at the current raise, 5.5 years at the current 3% raise to get to what my co-workers in Ottawa who are non-unionized would get paid. So I'm a little bit better. So with CrackTube basically having cracked it down on, YouTube having cracked down on these guys, yeah, good for them. And I do mean that, good for them. These wokesters have probably not really had a hard day in their life or something really traumatic that they have to work through, overcome, whatever the case may be. So, I mean, they really are just a bunch of, no, I'll say for what it is. I think that at the end of the day, they were a bunch of useful idiots. And the moment that they started to want to grow a bit of a backbone, YouTube went, or Google, Alphabet, whatever, just kind of, we're going to stop this, because if it starts here, then it would potentially spread throughout the entire company, throughout the entire umbrella of the corporation. So I would apologize for being a ruthless, cold-hearted bastard, or shall we say more of a, as V has said to me, kind of a final solution kind of guy, and that's fine. that was the smartest thing that they could do to nip that sense of growing ambition, and it's called for maybe what it is, and what would be growing entitlement to it all. Now, do not get me wrong, I do not appreciate having to look specifically for Tom McDonald. Not that I don't already have him on my feed, but if you spell, I can't remember if it's Mick or Mac. Anyway, I think it's Mac Donald. But anyway, if you spell his last name incorrectly, you can't find him, or you spell his first name with it, you throw in H into it, and you don't find him. That's a whole lot of fuckery as well, too. No doubt that came from the brass at the top of YouTube to push it onto the YouTube Music VP, who pushes it down on everybody else. So they're not innocent in any way, shape, or form either. In fact, that's just them maintaining the system, as far as I'm mostly concerned. And I don't think V or Naroki would disagree with me on that. So,
No, I
take my
wouldn't.
opinion how you. Yeah, take my opinion how you will. It's kind of like Naroki's in that sense of, you get what you deserve. Because of the shit you've done, you do get what you deserve. Now, maybe, probably not, but maybe these woke idiots are going to learn a lesson from all of this. I doubt it. And if they do, great. And if they don't, well, they don't. Because that shit's not my concern. And it honestly isn't. So, I have nothing more to say on the matter.
Okay, folks, I managed to find a map of the states that have tried to get Trump removed. Actually, it was quite a few. Virginia was one. It wasn't Pennsylvania. Most of them were red states. But however, there were some swing states in there. I was right about Arizona and Nevada, but Oregon, Wyoming, and Alaska of all places, New Mexico, Texas, Wisconsin, Michigan, West Virginia, Virginia, South Carolina, Vermont, New York, New Jersey, and Maine and Colorado. So there was quite a few states that were trying to do this. Those are as good as done. But now we get on. Rusin, are you there? Rusin, are you there? Okay, well, fortunately, we don't have to have him back right away. So we will move on to the next topic here, which is, we might be on this one for a while, by the way, just letting you know. Sweet Baby Inc. cover was blown as consultants who forced DEI into video games. Now, how did all of this get started? Well, there was an atrocious game that came out, which was the Suicide Squad kills off the Justice League. Curiously enough, and I failed to see any relevance in this, but apparently the Shark who was one of the guys in the last Suicide Squad game is now gay. The absolute relevance of a half man, half shark being fucking gay completely leaves me stupefied. But they chose to go that way anyway. And what ended up happening is that the game started to get people were demanding refunds. What ended up happening is that somebody did a little bit of digging and noticed the name Sweet Baby Inc. and started doing a little bit of a backlog on it. And lo and behold, as it so turns out, Sweet Baby had been quietly behind the scenes, and there are some other companies that were involved in this too, but Sweet Baby was acting as a consultant on a lot of AAA games, which is why you saw a lot of unnecessary racial mixing, which is why you saw some of the stuff going even as far back as what happened with The Last of Us, which is why you've been seeing an uptick in the wokeism in the AAA games area, is because that these people had been, and this is basically in all of the AAA games, people had done this, is that they had basically decided that they needed that sweet money from BlackRock and whatever to continue on with their projects, and in order to do that, they had to hire on these consultants, not necessarily Sweet Baby, but someone like them. And as a result, you started seeing woke being inserted into games that wasn't necessarily there. Now, this is everything that Anita Sarkeesian was talking about back in 2014 with Feminist Frequency, and of course it kicked off Gamergate. Now, we all know what happened with Gamergate. The far left actually faced, and by the way, I'm going to say this right off the bat, the cultural Marxists and the communists and whatever, the wokesters, they have never gotten over Gamergate, because what ended up happening is, despite the Wall Street people, despite the jocks, despite all the intellectuals, the people who decided for the first time, and it was goddamn near 10 years ago, that decided that enough was enough with the political correctness, the first group officially that stood up to them, because there was another group before that known as because there had been something happen in the atheist community, and there had been a real deep split in the atheist community that didn't make the news. But the first group that really made waves, that really pushed back against wokeism, were the gamers. And the far left, that group, they never got over it. Like, they never, that's the first time that any attempt that they had made to sneak in had been caught and stopped, and it did stop. Now, you had grifters like Anita Sarkeesian and a few others that persisted. In fact, we were celebrating the death of Feminist Frequency less than a year ago. In fact, Feminist Frequency literally just stopped running only like less than 6 months ago. Instead of getting the message, and I guess maybe it was because it was 10 years later, what ended up happening is, despite the fact that they tried to pull this with gamers 10 years ago, BlackRock and all of their DEI consultants went in to these AAA gaming companies and said, yes, we'll give you money, but you have to insert wokeism into it. And people in the gaming community started noticing, but they didn't put two and two together, except, of course, you're talking about gamers here. Gamers tend to be very tech-savvy individuals. And they started looking, and sure enough, they found Sweet Baby. Now, the moment that this whole thing with Sweet Baby started, the mainstream gaming press started running cover, and they started literally doing the same thing that they did back in 2014. They started using threats, they started threatening to dox people, they started lying, etc., etc., etc. So what is going on is quite literally, I'm thinking this really, I have a feeling we'll be talking about Sweet Baby for a while. You're seeing a literal return of Gamergate Part 2. They are resorting to exactly the same tropes. They're saying, oh, well, it's just a bunch of white misogynistic males. And the people over at Sweet Baby are like, basically, they're pulling a Sarkeesian. They're making claims of death threats and whatever. And of course, they're not actually producing any evidence of said issue, like none. And this is no word of a lie. The CEO of Sweet Baby literally posted up on her Twitter that she would fight. I can't remember the guy's name. Jeremy Hembling from the Quartering. And Jeremy Hembling got, of course, he got this tweet and he went over and wrote down, because I'm not lying about this. She's the president of the CEO of Sweet Baby said that she would fight Jeremy Hembling. Jeremy Hembling went over to the president of Sweet Baby's Twitter and said, challenge accepted. And he promptly got blocked. The mainstream press in particular, and I think Kotaku should probably get down on their knees and be thanking Sweet Baby, because what they've gone and done is that they've made Kotaku legitimate again. Because Kotaku was part of the triumvirate. We had Kotaku, Jezebel, Vice, and BuzzFeed. And Kotaku is the only one of those four that is actually still up and running. And they have literally given Kotaku a new lease on life. And of course, that new lease on life is, of course, doubling down on woke content like they did the last time around. And it's like, this is a form of insanity. This is, people who do not remember mistakes from the past are forever destined to repeat them. And it's exactly what's happened. They've been caught. Gamers are starting to look, and gamers are very tech savvy. And all this stuff is coming out. And of course, the folks on the other side are trying to do everything they can to run damage control, and they're trying to threaten the people that are doing this, and they're trying to block or delete or make sure that they can control the message, which of course is even less effective now than it was back in 2014. And everything they do, every article they come out with, every lie they say is being ripped to shreds. In fact, it's even worse than it was before. But instead of getting the message and just quietly pulling these games off the shelves, they are doubling down, and it is backfiring badly. And as more gets revealed about what has gone on with DEI and the games industry, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And of course they're like I said, they're resorting to ad hominem, making vague threats, making vague accusations without any proof. And this time the mainstream media, because they've shot all of their legitimacy up the app, they've completely destroyed their legitimacy. It's becoming even less effective. So what you've got here is another version of Gamergate Part 2, and you're just seeing the wokesters inside the gaming industry having to melt down and get their asses handed to them again. And I mean, when you see this happen, this is from 12-step programs. This is what you call the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting different results. You can maybe let it pass a little bit because it's been 9 years between the first Gamergate and this one, so maybe a lot of the crowd had switched over, but there's still enough people around who remember what happened the last time this happened, but they tried it again anyway, and it's not working. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Baby shark do 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 do. Baby shark do 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 do. Yeah, I'm not understanding. Gay shark? What's going on?
Okay, you remember the you remember the last the hell was the name?
Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad. Yeah, there was a character in it named the Shark. Right. It's a half man that's been mutated into a shark.
Right.
Now, somehow in the video game, they made the shark a character that is not fucking human, gay. Among other
Okay,
things.
so this is not outside the game where they find out the actor is gay.
No. They made the character in the game gay.
Yeah. Oh, just stop it. Just stop hitting on the gays. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Well,
go with that.
At least, gay shark man might want to give me a blowjob, and that's a bad time right there. It's a bad time. Gee whiz.
If you got the teeth of a shark, I just wouldn't. I mean, you might like it. I'm gonna say no for me.
Oh, gee whiz. Oh, don't get me started.
Oh, one other thing, guys. I made a mistake on the number of this one. This is episode 365, not 364. But continue.
Oh my God! The absolute injustice of it all.
Well, it goes to show you, even gay men can be predators.
With or without Arnold? Oh. No, folks. Standards. No, folks. No standards, folks. No fucking standards.
That's right, folks. If you want to hear talk about big boobs and all that other stuff, along with hard-hitting political commentary, the Red Pill Nation is absolutely your show.
Toxic masculinity.
Oh yes, toxic masculinity. Absolutely toxic masculinity, which is why I have to throw in the word boobs at least once every show.
No, not usually. If it's not been brought up before, oh boy. No.
And what did the shark man? And what did the shark man like to chow down on? I bet it was a stinky tuna.
Sticky or stinky? Stinky tuna?
What the shark
smells like fish? Smells like fish. Tastes like chicken. Anyway,
chow down like it's a sandwich. Munchy, 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 munchy.
You can tell I don't have an opinion on this, but go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. We'll be covering this one I have a feeling we'll be covering this one for a while.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta learn more about it.
Yeah. Rierson.
Yeah. Well, actually, just give me a quick minute here. That would explain probably that. I remember Razorfist was talking. He was absolutely raging on EA Games for Battle. It was a Battlefield game, and the main character of Battlefield was a woman in World War II who was
a cripple. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That one.
That probably lines perfectly with all of this shit. Absolutely unplayable, thoroughly unbelievable. In fact, not believable. Like, there's only one woman I know of in World War I who ended up being a highly decorated soldier for Yugoslavia. Belgrade? Croatia. She was Serbian. That's right. She was Serbian. Maluka, I can't remember the last name. Sabaton did a great song about her. But anyway, she did better than most men do as soldiers, but she's an exception and not the fucking rule. She was part of the Iron Cross and was decorated by multiple countries and would have gotten attention from France if she was to move there, but she didn't. That was reality. That was a truly remarkable individual, especially a woman. And these fucking dumb cunt libtards would think, now either it was Sweet Baby pushing this kind of shit, or a writer must have had some blackmail material. allegedly, I'm just speculating here, folks. Surprise me. To push this with the redheaded cripple, female cripple in World War One. It just no. I mean, I've seen Naoki and I would know this individual who has an annual cancer on Terry Fox. And I've seen what someone who's got an artificial leg, you can't run. I mean, you can walk. Terry basically hobbled halfway across the country, and that was it. So having special missions or whatever may have happened in that game with the trenches in no man's land, which wouldn't surprise me at all if that was her sexual orientation as well, as that she was no man's land as well too. No fucks given, folks. No fucks given. But I can only imagine what it was like during that period of time. Maybe I was there in another life. Maybe I wasn't. I don't know. But it's this kind of it's not even mental gymnastics. It's creative gymnastics. To pull this kind of unrealistic, highly fantasized, non-real, no grip on reality, bunch of fucking idiots. Now, did Sweet Baby do that? I have no idea. This is EA Games, after all. I wouldn't be surprised if they had some sort of an influence to have the final outcome. And they're kind of the push behind someone pissing on one of the villains with Justice League or Batman, whatever that new game is that's already tanking before it's even really been released or has been released, and it's not doing very well. With Harley Quinn's gang, I mean, she blows Batman's head off, or puts a bullet through his eyes. So you can kiss that game goodbye. Flash ends up dying and someone pisses on the corpse. Good job. A great way to kill off. Well, it's kind of what they've done with Star Wars, but that's Kathleen Kennedy's demise of the franchise, which probably has nothing at all to do with Sweet Baby Inc. because she just has to insert herself, being a brunette and fucking tits, just breezes her way through everything just because. Best thing she ever did was get Spielberg coffee every day in the morning, or whatever the case may have been. But I don't know if this was also maybe the push where female characters, I've said it before and I'll say it again, female characters in Star Wars The Old Republic now have 5 o'clock shadow. Again, I went back into the game just out of curiosity a month and a half ago, something like that. And I was looking at making a new character just to get everything all lined up and female. And it was she was Mira Lucan, something like that. Basically, it's the green-skinned characters. And in Star Wars, Clone Wars, that would have been the Jedi Master. Barriss Offee was her apprentice. Luminara. Jedi Master Luminara. Brought it up, made her a trooper. And the first thing I fucking saw was the 5 o'clock shadow. I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm fucking done. So, EA Games, Old Republic will not be getting my cash until that shit goes away. And I enjoyed the game. I really honestly did. But that's the most political. No, that's not the most political game that I've played recently, because there was the Dragon Spear expansion to Baldur's Gate 2, written by a woman in your neck of the woods, actually, Naroki, for Beamdog, and they're former BioWare employees. And she threw a tranny, male to female, for War God Tempest. And I just went, you know what? I'm just going to play this once, and just to get the game done, and that's it. And then I have not touched it since, and I'm not going to touch it ever, period. So, but again, that's not Sweet Baby Inc., but it's that kind of shit that's going off in those directions. I am hoping that there's enough legal ground to prove, is it proof culpability? Did you do it, yes or no? Well, they went on our recommendations, and here's the end, and the end result of those recommendations is we have an unprofitable product. And again, folks, this is why that I don't play the new games. Even if I was 20 years younger, I wouldn't. I couldn't be bothered. My son's got the right idea. He's playing on Roblox, and the games that he plays are copies of other games. And there's no bullshit like this in it. Not that I can see anyway. So the way that modern gaming is going, I've got no fucking time. I have no time for this. And to kind of quote Danny Glover, shall we say, I'm getting too old for this shit. And I am. So I'm happy playing MechWarrior. I've got my old games. I'm going to try to get back into the old Star Wars fight games. I've had some fun with it. But the new shit now going forward, if they get rid of the DEI shit and all that other crap to go along with it, fine. And my apologies for having to deal with my son, Naroki, when you were talking your stuff here. But I think it's safe to say that the woman that's doing this, that woman with darker skin, I'll assume she's of African heritage, has she basically more or less admitted to being like a Marxist, because it sure as fuck feels like it. I can't say for certainty, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. So I think the cultural war has now gone into games completely at this point. And on Steam, there's in excess of 150,000 people that joined a group. I think that's gone. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if that's hit over 200,000 people at this point. If not, maybe closer to, would be surprised to a quarter of nine. I could be wrong, but I'm sure it's around 200,000 people who've joined this group or forum on Steam, and that's a lot of pissed off gamers. A lot. So, yeah. We'll see. I have no expectations at this point, except as Naroki said, is that this one's not even close to being done. Like, they've just left the gates, folks, with the horse race, and we'll see. We'll see who gets around the last quarter of the track and is in the home stretch. But I don't see them surviving this. And with the shit that I've seen and not getting involved in, that might explain Baldur's Gate 3, where you can get involved with your male. You can basically have a romantic interest with you're undead, and there's a male druid who happens to be gay and can shapeshift into a bear, and the bear can fuck you up the ass. Again, don't know that Sweet Baby Inc.'s involved in that, but well, it doesn't matter to me because I'm not buying the fucking game. So Rocky, I'll give the mic back to you on this one. Fuck me. Anyway, it is what it is. All yours.
Yeah, this was a deep one. Surprised that we didn't actually. Hell, no, we went on almost half an hour about this one. I'm not overly surprised. Yeah, this is people just don't learn from their mistakes. And yeah, I didn't think it had been all that long since the previous Gamergate, but yeah, the first round of Gamergate happened around 2014, 2015. And so that was literally almost 10 years ago. The Zoe post is still available for people to look. We've actually covered Zoe Quinn a couple of times on the show. We've also covered Anita Sarkeesian a couple of times here. Are we going to see a revisit from those individuals? Are we going to see Brianna Wu back again? Everyone's favorite transgender who tried to play victim in the previous Gamergate. Yep. I already know how this is going to work out. And here's the ironic part about this. And this is something that I just realized as I was listening to Rearson. Now, back in the first reincarnation of Gamergate, there was a woman, I cannot remember her name, but she was based out of Montreal, and it was one of the few times that the Wokesters actually won a round in the Gamergate controversy. And she did it by using a political model which mocked and minimized the effect and method of Gamergate. Now, here's the very curious part. I'm kind of wondering if it's the same person or not, because the gaming press was just trumpeting this as a huge win for the Wokesters on their side, and it was one of the only times that they actually won. And what I started doing back then was I actually started formulating a strategy on how to counter the tactics that other people in Gamergate were going to use in order to get it. Because I mean, at that point, at the end of 2014, start of 2015, what was going on at that point in time? I think it was at the end of 2013. I'm trying to remember. It was either 2013 or the start of 2014. Anita Sarkeesian also got a massive influx of cash from corporate sponsors, and there was a lot of people at that time who saw what was starting to mount up, and a lot of people on the pro Gamergate side were going to throw in the towel and say, well, that's it. No, Anita's won. She's going to get on mainstream media, and we're going to be destroyed. And what they didn't count on was that Anita Sarkeesian was only out for Anita Sarkeesian, and she didn't give a rat's ass about the actual fight. And she just took that money, pocketed most of it. She did do the 2 appearances. Both times YouTube had to run block. To give you an idea of what happened when she was on the Colbert Show, any references to Anita Sarkeesian, YouTube quite gleefully blocked them all. I went back and posted them up. Unfortunately, I posted them up under my old account, but there was a video at the time where Anita Sarkeesian was openly saying how she hated video games. And I posted that up everywhere. Unfortunately, it was under my old Nabroki 5 YouTube account, so that's something probably been deleted. But it looked like they were going to deliver the killing blow to Gamergate, and it never came. And what eventually happened is that the whole thing just ran out of steam. Everybody showed up. A lot of people showed up. I believe it was either 2015 or 2016. A whole bunch of pro Gamergaters showed up when Anita Sarkeesian made an appearance at VidCon, where they tried to cancel Sargon Avocado on Patreon or whatever. That should have been an early warning there. GoFundMe also got involved. And again, that should have been a warning sign for both Patreon and GoFundMe that you needed to get off of those platforms. Subscribestar took off immediately after that. But I mean, I am wondering, since this actually started out in Montreal, I'm wondering if it's not the same person, because what they effectively did here is that, I mean, they did it clandestinely. They came in through the back door this time. They used a lot of, which is, by the way, which is something that should have, which is what Anita probably should have done back when she got all that corporate sponsorship money. She should have spread it around and made sure that these companies towed the line, which is what she didn't do. But what DEI and BlackRock and all the people did is that they did that. And the way they went about it, the way they snuck in through the back door like this, kind of suggests that they knew potentially what was going to happen if they discovered it, and they probably had a plan in place if they were discovered. Unfortunately, it's not working because, again, right, the mainstream media no longer has the sway that it once did. Kotaku is the only site that's actually, it's a couple of others that are trying to run block for it, but it's not working because these publications, these online publications, the mainstream press, be it gaming or whatever, have lost a lot of their legitimacy because they just continuously keep being on the wrong side of an issue. And of course, the article from Kotaku was really damaging because it was like, oh, well, Sweet Baby isn't doing what you think they're doing. And it's like, no, that's exactly what they're doing. You liars. And also, I will just throw this in before we move on. The main players for Sweet Baby have either privated their Twitter accounts or are no longer comments on their tweets. Just thought I'd throw that in for you before we moved on. Does anybody else have anything more to say on this one? Don't all talk at once. All right, then we're moving on, because this next one is even more talk, is just sheer toxicity compared to some of the other ones that we've talked about. Okay, topic number 4. And this one is just, again, you'd figure that people would learn. Like, the example of what happened with Bud Light was out there. Now, to be fair, what happened with Doritos happened in Spain. It didn't happen in North America. So it was a little bit slow in getting out, but when it did get out, it got out big time. They hired this transgender. And when they started digging back through this transgender individual who had signed a marketing deal with Doritos in Spain, not in North America, in Spain, it turned out that this guy is a raging lunatic leftist, probably a pedophile.
Yo abogo por aniquilar y destruir por completamente, abolir la familia tradicional nuclear monógama. No es que vaya a darle una paliza a mis padres, ni mucho menos, pero creo que ya está bien de tener un canon estandarizado.
And of course, the mainstream media immediately started running block for the guy. But what ended up happening is after just a couple of days of pressure, Doritos backed away, fired the guy, made an apology, and they made a legit apology. They did something that Bud Light still hasn't gone and done. They said they made an apology. They claimed that they didn't know what this guy was about, and whether they were telling the truth or not, I don't know. But Doritos backed down immediately when they found out what was going on. And they probably saved their brand doing it. In fact, I was so proud of Doritos that I actually went out and bought a bag of chips at the store from them to support them on this decision. the mainstream media and all the woke media and all the wokesters, of course, started spurging out, and they did everything. They made every attempt they could to try to minimize this win, but it's like there's no getting around this. Dorito got caught. Okay, yes, it was people in Spain, so they may not have been fully aware of what was going on with Bud Light. So that may have explained some of it. But again, right, you keep seeing, like, I mean, and we covered this at the start, at the end of last year. You know, like, you're seeing corporations doing this over and over and over and over and over again. And they keep repeating the same mistake over and over and over again. And sort of like, well, you know, there's obviously somebody, and I'm going to go BlackRock, DEI, whatever, that are pushing this agenda, and they're obviously not just pushing it in North America, they're pushing it everywhere. And Frito-Lay is owned by PepsiCo, which does, and if Bruce wants to take a look and confirm this, I do believe BlackRock or Vanguard or one of the big three have a certain percentage share in PepsiCo, because Pepsi has also engaged in wokeism from time to time. They just haven't done it as flagrantly or as bad as what Doritos, Bud Light, and a couple of other corporations have done. Fritos. Did you already found it? Yeah. Okay. Let's hear. Yep. Who's the biggest stock owners of Pepsi?
Coming in at number 1, Vanguard at 9.35%, BlackRock number 2, 7.96%, State Street 4.2%, Geode Capital, I've seen them quite a bit, 2.01%, Morgan Stanley is at 1.78%, Bank of America 1.66%, JP Morgan Chase 1.52%, and Charles Schwab, not Klaus, but Charles, 1.35%. So there you go.
Well, that explains it.
Well, and V at 0.00001.
V, I love you, man, but in this regard, you're just insignificant. Back to you.
Anyway, not a big surprise. Again, right, you have to stop and consider that maybe somebody, they tried again, because we were just talking about this with Sweet Baby, that they're at the point now where they can't do it straight up anymore because they keep getting caught and called. And they try to do this in a straightforward way. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to go to other countries, or they're trying to sneak, or, well, what they did with Kellogg's, right? They're trying to Trojan horse this stuff in a way where it's not going to be immediately spotted. And this is the same sort of thing that we were seeing with boards of education and sneaking trans books, or sneaking these books on into school libraries, right? Like and this is the reason why Daniel Smith worded the law that she has worded up here in such a way. So it's sort of like what they were doing is they were taking advantage of, well, the school would come out with a program, but the school didn't have to fully disclose what it was, or they could kind of like dance around the subject to find out what it was, and your student would, your kid would be automatically enrolled in it. And in order for you to get your kid out of it, you had to find out what was going on, and then you had to withdraw your kid. The way Daniel Smith has worded this bill, which got everybody so massively upset here, and got the alphabet mafia so upset here in Alberta, is that you can't do that here in Alberta. What they have to do, and you're going to start seeing, because what you're seeing with Alberta is you're going to start, when this gets passed, you're going to see versions of it being passed all over North America, is that in order for them to do this now, to sneak this agenda in, you have to agree ahead of time to have your kid register with this program. your kid is not automatically registered. So they can't Trojan horse this shit in and have the parents find out about it later, because that's exactly what they've been trying to do. So you would figure that what was going on with the school boards here, that the folks over at BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street and all of the people who are trying to push this agenda on the boards of those companies would have figured out that it's sort of like, okay, well, no, they're getting smart to doing it directly, and they're starting to get smart. We can't Trojan horse it in anymore. Like, we should just stop. But no, they've displayed a determination to try to ram this stuff down people's throats, whether they want to do it or not. So yeah, go to another country, Trojan horse it in via Kellogg's or whatever, just sneak it in somehow. That's not going to get noticed immediately, except of course that when and this is very similar to what happens when, again, I'm going to bring up a 12-step reference here, where you talk to a person about their using and they go, yeah, and they agree that they're not going to do it anymore. And then you go back 2 or 3 days later and you find out that they've been sneaking this stuff past you and hoping that you were going to notice, except of course that they do notice because they know what the signs are. They can tell when somebody's being earnest. So yeah, this is certain individuals in the alphabet mafia attempting to smuggle this stuff, and you're going to see a lot more of this. You're going to start seeing corporations trying to Trojan horse this stuff past people on an ongoing basis. This is corporations trying to Trojan horse this stuff past people, just like they've been doing on school boards. And eventually what's going to happen is that corporations are going to have to start being upfront about what they're doing, because again, right, corporations are considered people, and people have to follow the law. People cannot violate the law, and corporations are people, therefore people have to follow that. As corporations, they have to follow the law. I've had wokesters try to argue that that's absurd, but there is an actual amendment. I'm not sure which one. I can't remember specifically which amendment it is, but there is an amendment that says corporations are people. People have to follow the law. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Okay, well, I feel as though I need to explain this thing with BlackRock and Vanguard again. Okay, these are investment firms, and these investment firms, well, they follow trends. Now, you've got 100, maybe 1,000, maybe 100,000 people who have bought, stocks or whatever through BlackRock. Now, they are voicing. It's just like having a representative or a senator or whoever. They're representing the interest of the people that they represent. 9 and 8% is not enough to control a board of anything. You gotta be of one person or of one entity and own 51% to make decisions. Everything that happens on the board of these companies is that of a vote. Okay, so now these might look like the big kids in class, but even if their interest is not looked at, they're going to vote another way, and so that their clients are protected. So these BlackRock, you might as well say, is society. This isn't the agenda of a lot of people who are just like, you better make the right decision that makes me the most money. And so then that means following the trends. They're not setting the trends. they're following the trends and they'll support whatever comes up. Doesn't matter what it is. As long as they have stake in it, they'll support it. So instead of them being the head of the snake, like everybody thinks, they're really just kind of the backbone. So you've got a whole different class of people, different people, who are setting the agenda. And those are the people who need to research, watch, and all that good stuff. So as far as the situation is concerned, we just need to keep an eye on it, I suppose. The option to not let your enemy teach your kids should be a fundamental right. Yeah. That's all I'll say on that. So go ahead, Rissa.
I wouldn't be surprised if through nefarious backdoor room deals that the likes of BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, they all invest in each other. Let's not kid ourselves here. If there was an agreement that was made between the three of them to, well, rather, one, two, or all three would agree to having a member on the board to at least represent them specifically. I mean, round it off, 10%, 8%. While it's not a majority, that's enough of the shareholder vote. And Larry Fink himself has been on record to say that sometimes you have to force change through. And that's what that's what his company's been about. So, as I see it, I will agree to disagree with V on this one. I know I fully understand what you're saying. Yes, you're right. Mathematically, it's not possible. Things don't really happen until you hit that 51%. But, having about 20% of the shareholders, that's really no different than having 10 to 20% of the electoral college votes with California. Could California make or break the election whenever the elections come out? It could, but it could also be a very strong indicator as to where things are going to go. Or it's that much more difficult for the nominee or the running candidate for whichever party has got a major hill to jump over, and hopefully he or she would be able to get California. If you don't, could you still win? Yeah, you could. It's going to be that much more difficult. So anyway, yeah, I took a look at this individual that was pushing for all this stuff and believes an anarchist. Wouldn't be surprised if somehow involved with Antifa. And very, very, very questionable Twitter posts about kids. Not saying it isn't, not saying it is, but it is a problem. And it was a problem for Frito-Lay. And yeah, they got rid of them. I'm not going to be buying Frito. I'm going to try to avoid any PepsiCo products because of all of this shit. Because some bonehead allegedly didn't know.
They backed away from it. They changed their minds and they backed away and apologized. I have to point that out.
Okay, all right, fine, fair enough. That's because they realized, and that's when they realized they fucked up. Like, I would love to know the process that was involved from start to the apology as to who made the decision, what background check of anything that they do on this person. You know, like, I'm not expecting any sense of transparency with this fiasco. Or, sorry, a near averted fiasco. And have they learned from it? Yeah, they have. Will they do it again? I don't know. And I don't care. Someone should have had the actual intellectual intelligence, the emotional intelligence, not the willful ignorance, not the stupidity, or because maybe the person that ultimately approved this could very well have been part of the same community or communities that this person with the plastic pussy is involved in. I mean, when you're an activist, you have a track record. You have an electronic paper trail of stuff that you have said, things that are on social media. By and large, it's going to be out there. It might be archived, maybe. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is available. If you really wanted to delve into it on the X or Twitter servers, because there's no way that they're going to be getting rid of that stuff really, because someone doesn't want to be around anymore. But there are deliberate steps that would have to be done to see if this thing would be in line with the image that they wanted to project. Now, 2 days reaction after, again, Bud Light and that thing that they promoted. Yeah, honestly, yeah, good for them. They realized that they fucked up and they stopped it. Great. Perfect. But this should have, what happened with Bud Light should have been the shot across the bow for any company that would even think about doing this. And in Spain, they fucking did it. They tried it and they got burned. Now, I'm not a Pepsi drinker. I don't mind 7-Up, but I don't drink that normally. My preferred soft drink of choice is A&W root beer. And I keep it to that. In fact, I went to A&W today. It was quite nice. Before going grocery shopping. But, this really was a case of Bud Light fucked around. They found out. It took some time, but it got through their thick fucking skulls. And I'm hoping for any other company that is even going to think about this, that they're not going to do it, because they're going to realize that they're going to get ratioed to death on social media. This lit up on fucking YouTube, which it should have, and I'm glad it did. So, and again with BlackRock is basically kind of going, yeah, the DEI stuff. No, I'm just going to call it die, because that's what's happening. Any corporation that's trying to incorporate it now, is they are slowly dying off. Now, will I touch PepsiCo products knowingly in the future? I might forget about it. But with this now, it's called for what it is, hypervigilance, with people watching out for this kind of crap, it's going to be exceedingly difficult for any company to try to pull this off again, because people are sick and tired of it. Absolutely just fed up. As they should be. Downright absolutely as they should be. So I'm actually disappointed that they didn't go further, that they didn't actually run with it. because I was hoping that they were going to. Because I would love to see a brand just get the stuffing kicked out of it. And yeah, this is my case with Schadenfreude. And yeah, I'm a bit of a nasty prick at the end of when it's all said and done. But I want hard lessons to be driven home. And the only way for companies to learn is to, well, no, they're more sensitive to this kind of shit. So, good. Yeah, nothing more to say on this one. Back to you.
Yeah, you're right. There was there's only really two explanations as to why this happened. Either A, they just didn't know. Keep in mind, we are talking Spain here, not the United States. So it is entirely possible that they didn't know. Your point, though, about them not doing a thorough background check, that was either willful ignorance or just sheer incompetence. One of the two. And it was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna boycott Frito-Lay or Pepsi or Doritos. They did back down, right, when they found out. Now, did they lie? Maybe. Did they know about his background before they hired him? That's a little. At this point, the people who are hiring this must have figured out, because it just keeps happening over and over and over again. You talk about these trans influencers and people going to these transgender storybook readings, whatever, that keep getting caught being pedophiles. And what ends up happening is that the press keeps running block for them. And of course, there's also people online who do everything in their power to desperately go back to, oh, well, the Catholic Church was doing this too. And it's like, yeah, you're right. The Catholic Church was doing this, and there probably still are a few priests around that are still doing this. It's not the Catholic priests that are getting caught right now. Okay? It's teachers, it's transgenders that are getting caught right now. All right? Attempting to use a red herring and saying, oh, Catholic priests are doing it too, that's almost like a justification for what they're doing, right? I mean, I'm sure there will eventually, and wouldn't surprise me if there is another Catholic priest that gets caught at some point doing this, or a priest from another religion that gets caught doing this at some point. It's not Catholic priests that are doing this right now.
I was going to say that sounds like that's more of it being rationalization.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it is probably a rationalization, and it's like, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that this was either just absolute stupidity, because I mean, the people over in Spain should have known especially given how big Bud Light got. I mean, some of what happened with Bud Light had to make it over to Europe, even if the press over there is a lot more censorious than it is here in North America. There are people over in Europe who had to know what happened with Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney, and they went ahead and they did it anyway. And I mean, Jesus fucking Christ, why didn't they just hire Dylan Mulvaney to do it, right? Like, again, I'm not going to be boycotting them because they did back down. However, there's also people like Grierson who are not going to be buying any of their stuff anymore. And I mean, that is a legitimate choice that you as a listener can make for yourself. Again, it's up to you which way you want to go on this. But yeah, Doritos probably dodged a bullet. Doritos definitely probably dodged a bullet. Like, I know for a fact, at least in Canada, we have a food chip company here called Old Dutch, and Old Dutch has, by and large, generally made a I know for a fact they've made better chips than Lay's, for instance. They're a little bit. They actually make a better chip than Frito-Lay does as well. You know, Old Dutch is. I mean, it's kind of tragic because they seem to be struggling a little bit financially. But Old Dutch actually, in terms of the big three, Old Dutch, Lay's, and Frito-Lay, I think the Old Dutch chips generally have the best taste. That's just me.
Yeah, no, I like Old Dutch. I don't go out of my way to buy potato chips, but I'm happy with Old Dutch when I
Old Dutch. Yeah, Old Dutch has got the best potato chips. There is a couple of things from Lay's that I like. I like the roast chicken. Although again, Old Dutch's roast chicken, which they stopped making, was a far better product. But I like the roast chicken that Lay's comes out with. I also happen to like the jalapeno and cheese taco chips that Old Dutch comes out with. Unfortunately, you have to go because they pulled them from most of the grocery stores. You'll see I have to go out looking for them. Whenever I see the green bags, I buy them. But again, right, there are options out there, and that's probably one of the other things that Frito-Lay figured out. It's like, yeah, you know what? We're going to lose a huge market share if we keep going forward with this. And going to bet you dollars to donuts if somebody went to whoever was running Frito-Lay in Spain and went, no. You're not going to just cost us money in Spain. You're going to cost us money worldwide if you go through with this. So they didn't double down. Does anybody else have anything more to add, or can we move on?
I'm good.
Okay. Oh, we're going to have so much fun on this next one. So, Joe Biden had his State of the Union address. The State of the Union address was, well, Marjorie Taylor Greene hammered away at Joe Biden to the point where he actually, because they were doing this with that woman who got shot by those cops. I can't remember her name. Well, say her name. So that's exactly what Marjorie Taylor Greene did with that girl that got killed by that illegal immigrant who got released multiple times before he finally got caught, and now he's going to be going to jail. But Marjorie Greene kept screaming at Joe Biden until Joe Biden said the name. He didn't get, because again, they don't control Congress anymore. He didn't get the warm reception that he has been getting in the past around this because, the Speaker of the House is no longer Nancy Pelosi. The whole situation it was just terrible. It got ripped to pieces. And here was the really ironic part. And I actually posted up a link to it here in the comments section. Yeah, there it is. Twitter.com, Miguel, California status. Leah Memes on Twitter, who is really famous for making tweets about Joe Biden. I mean, like, if you go to Leah Memes on Twitter, what you will find is that you see a woman wearing a MAGA hat, and what she posted up was actually quite hilarious, because what she did is that she literally went back for 2 years, and she actually compared, and this guy named Miguel California did this. Leah Means was the one who Miguel California went back and pulled out lines from Joe Biden's speeches from 22 and 23, and Joe Biden has been literally and figuratively giving the exact same speech 2 years in a row.
For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we faced into an opportunity. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Here, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. Today, COVID no longer controls our lives. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The only nation that can be defined by a single word, possibilities. Actually, I can define it in one word, and I mean this. Possibilities. Possibilities. I'm a capitalist. Look, I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. Let's pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. Pass the PRO Act. And extend the child tax credit. And let's restore the full child tax credit. Restore that child tax credit. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll see a field of dreams. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams, our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. Used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. Began to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're also replacing poisonous lead pipes. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage. We're going to do it by buying American. Buy American products. We're going to buy American. We're going to buy America. Buy America. The American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. We're building an economy where no one's left behind. We leave no one behind. I get it. I get it. I get it. We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. It costs the drug companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35. I want to cap the cost of insulin $35 a month for every American who needs it. We'll build a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. We're going to build 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. The IBEW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. We'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. The tax system is not fair. It is not fair. Does anybody really think the tax code is fair? 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes. 55 of the largest corporations in America, the Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits and paid zero in federal taxes. 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Ban targeted advertising to children. Ban targeted advertising to children. Under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny. Under my plans, as long as I'm president, nobody earning less than $400,000 will pay an additional penny in taxes. Nobody, not one penny. Nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. Well, let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share. It's not by making sure that the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share. By making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. The watchdogs are back. The watchdogs are back. Ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines will up to 100 rounds. Ban assault weapons now. Ban them now. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Children were also struggling before the pandemic. Bullying, violence, trauma. When millions of young people are struggling with bullying, violence, trauma, we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system. At least pass my plan to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border. I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system, secure the border, provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and a pathway to citizenship for dreamers. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers. Let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act. Let's also pass the Bipartisan Equality Act. Pass the Equality Act. It's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America. Never. Let's end cancer as we know it. Let's end cancer as we know it. Like end cancer as we know it. I've come to report on the state of the nation, the state of the union. And my report is this. The state of the union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. The state of the union is strong. that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
The lines have been moved around, and it's not an exact word for word speech, because that would have been a little bit too much of a dead giveaway. But there was enough of a giveaway that it was laughable, and they're absolutely getting smashed to pieces. Here's the thing, right? The Biden administration, and this is something that you're seeing with the Biden administration time and again now, when they get caught, they start throwing. They literally sent the Justice Department after Leah Means and Miguel California, and they're trying to charge them or trying to demand an investigation because they are part of the Trump campaign. Even though they're not getting any money from Trump, they're using the fact that the Trump campaign was like their meme so much that they invited them to a rally and whatever. And they sent and Trump sent Miguel California or Leah Memes autographed hats. And they're saying, oh, well, they could sell those hats, therefore that is a form of payment. Never mind the fact that the Democrats are doing the exact same thing. And it's just absolute. It just keeps happening, and they keep going. They just go after every single person that tries to come out and publicly support Trump. And what's going to happen here is that they're assuming that Trump wins. There's going to be a few people on the right that are going to be looking for revenge after this is over, for obvious reasons. And, it's like you're spending, and this was also pointed out, it's sort of like, okay, you've got time to launch investigations on a account on Twitter that's making memes, but somehow you don't have the time or the energy to fix the border situation or some other thing like that. They just keep doing this. And of course it's like, yeah, the whole thing is just an absolute laugh and a joke. Biden did this to himself, and all that Leah Memes and Miguel California did was just reveal something that the Biden administration was doing publicly. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's been going after Mr. Trump there. So it's been decided that his name cannot be taken off the ballots, right? He's in the race.
That's correct. Yes.
He's in the race this year. Yeah, he's in it to win it, and I say all power to him. And I really hope he gets these people's ghosts. I really hope. Because out of all the presidents we've had since JFK, none of them have been worthwhile, except for Trump. I can admit that as a black man. Originally, I was not a Trump supporter, but he won me over. So, yeah, people are going to go after him because he's not supporting the liberal agenda, the New World Order. He put the New World Order behind so much with his one administration that they have tried to destroy him. And that's why so much of the stuff is coming out so quickly with Biden's administration. All this left-wing insanity is being dumped on us. But they're going to make a mess for Trump to clean up so he doesn't disturb any future New World Order programs, I think. So I think that's why the world's insane right now. Partly, anyways. But yeah, I'm not real opinionated on this one either, so I'll give it up to Rierson. Go ahead.
Not that I didn't watch it. I mean, I made no attempt to. I made no attempt to see what he said because I'm expecting it to be nothing but somehow an infinite number of monkeys or chimps with an infinite number of typewriters with an infinite amount of paper. You will eventually get something like this to be spoken about or to be said to not just the nation, but to the world, to the internet, or the world through the internet, YouTube, Rumble, whatever, Twitter. I already knew that it was going to be a shit show, but I'm also of the opinion, I'm firmly of the opinion that this is not Joe Biden. Like, it's not the same guy. It looks like him, but the ears are wrong. He's got the chinsicles, chin testicles. The eyes are not right. The hair, even with the hair thinning away or going white, it's not the same guy. Like, it just absolutely is not him. So, for myself, I'm not paying any of it any attention just because I'm the conspiracy theorist of the three of us here. Maybe more so in that regard than perhaps he may or may not be. I don't know. But I don't care. I really don't care. I'll let other people look into it. I'll let other people give their take on it. But I mean, I had this conversation with my cousin a year and a half ago when he was out here for my uncle's funeral, and I told him about Joe Biden. It's just the guy's not around. He's like, no, but that's him. Going, okay, I don't have a picture to show you. Now that I'm remembering about it, I'm going to try to remember to send that to him tomorrow. But my opinion is that Joe Biden is long gone. He's no longer around. And he has to be set up as the court jester, the fool, whatever you want to call it, to show how crazy it is to think that this system works anymore, because it doesn't. I mean, it never really did. It didn't. I think about the time that there was, I would say it was around the two stages that were made. The United States, not illegitimate, not illegal, but illegitimate. Yeah, illegitimate. As Norky had mentioned, there was the court case that had decided that corporations were people. So that shifted a lot with that one judge ruling. Then I'll have to go to the Federal Reserve as well too, coming to existence. And since then, it's been nothing but a steady decline in a lot of ways for that country. So, yeah, I don't have anything to say about it other than that I'm going to be one of the least surprised people that you're going to have about Biden stumbling around and looking like an idiot and all that fun, wonderful stuff. So yeah, don't care. I really don't care because to me, it's a movie, and I enjoy being a spoiler alert waiting to say something. So, Rocky, back to you.
Okay, well, the Oscars are officially over. I have and we will be covering this. Just a short little note here. Oppenheimer won Best Picture of the Year, which was absolutely no surprise. Oppenheimer won 7 Oscars.
Did Barbie
Barbie got one. Barbie, we knew Barbie was going to get one. We will be discussing this particular aspect of the show on 365, obviously. But yeah, the Oscars were held tonight. 0 fucks were given. I did see Oppenheimer, but yeah, Oppenheimer won Movie of the Year. It got 6 Oscars. Happy for. Although he's a bit of a woke idiot, I am actually happy that Robert Downey Jr. has finally got his Oscar because he definitely deserved it for that show. But let's just get into the State of the Union address again. I don't think Biden. I don't. You seem to be I don't. Yeah, I don't buy that Biden's a fucking clown. Sorry, I don't. But then again, we don't agree on everything, so that's probably not that much of a surprise. But let's get into the last one. Now, this last one is an example of people making assumptions about a person based on, and this is something that happened with Woody Allen. It's happened with a few other people, where Joey Buttafuoco is one classic example, because we were both living in Banff at the time, if you remember, when Joey Buttafuoco came down the pipes, and Amy Fisher, in the end, because the press tried to make Joey Buttafuoco should not have been spending money on escorts, especially since he was married, but saying stuff to what was clearly a mentally unstable woman like Amy Fisher was not a good idea. This is something that probably the Manosphere could have prevented. And I'm bringing this up because I'm using this because, I mean, a lot of, despite the fact it was Amy Fisher that shot Joey Buttafuoco's wife, a lot of the blame ended up falling on Joey Buttafuoco about that particular. So yeah, Joey Buttafuoco shouldn't have been using escorts, but I mean, he should not have also been the center of blame because it was Amy Fisher. And how do I know Amy Fisher was mentally unstable? Well, because when she got out of jail, she immediately, and this should come as no surprise to a lot of people listening, she ended up getting into porn, and I had a couple of exchanges with her after she got out, and yeah, she had literally no sense of humor. She took herself very seriously, and she ended up being somebody that I think it was sort of like, after dealing with her for 2 or 3 days, it was like, yeah, I can see why she did it. You know, another example, and this one also, by the way, happened while Rusin and I were living in Banff, not together. We were working at different places. The Woody Allen, when he married that one woman, and there was a whole lot of press about him being accused of being a pedophile, most of it coming from Mia Farrow, who just simply threw stuff out there and alleged that Woody Allen was doing this and this and this and this and this. And what's not so well known about the Woody Allen situation, because people still accuse Woody Allen of being a pedophile, is that there was, this case was thoroughly investigated by people who were, at the time, the top investigators into allegations of pedophilia, and Woody Allen got his life turned upside down, and the people who did the investigation found nothing. And it turns out that Mia Farrow was doing a lot of coaching. However, that particular event got buried. And I could go on and on. Jean Gomeshi is another one. And we've covered false allegations before. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that Gisele Bündchen she filed for divorce on Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady, if you don't know who Tom Brady is, even if you don't follow football, if you don't know Tom Brady, you've been living under a fucking rock. Sorry. Like maybe you don't care. Maybe you're not a football watcher. Maybe you're not a sports fan. But Tom Brady is one of those people that just kind of like his name transcends the sport. Like people know who Tom Brady is, whether they want to or not. What is it? 7-time? So he's got 7 Super Bowl rings, considered the greatest quarterback of all time. Multi-millionaire, good looking, hot stud, in shape. Basically, if you're going to draw a picture of what and of course he also happened to be a supporter of Trump. So he's, again, like, people, depending upon where you stand politically, it's not perfect. I mean, I don't really care if he supports Trump or not. But I mean, like, he's a proven commodity. Like, he is an absolute, if you're going to draw a picture of what an alpha male stud, the pinnacle of what a man, rich, successful, good looking, everything. This was the guy that you would put up at the top. And he had a supermodel for a wife. I mean, any disagreement that is the absolute pinnacle of maleness, according to Western society right now? Is there any disagreement from either of you two about that? I'm going to take.
I won't speak for V, but yeah, no, you won't. I will not disagree.
V, any disagreement on that?
Of course. No, I don't.
Okay.
Don't disagree.
So, Gisele Bündchen filed. I mean, how is she going, especially at age 41 or 42? How is she going to improve on Tom Brady? She's not. She's not a hot supermodel anymore. She's got 2 kids. I've seen photos of her. I mean, she looks pretty decent for a 42-year-old, but even when she was a supermodel, I still only placed her at about a 9, right? Like, she was not, like, super hot. Despite the money, the status, the wealth, the kids, like, everything. She filed because Tom Brady still had something left in the tank and he wanted to keep playing. Gisele Bündchen finally, she tried to play this off as she'd had enough with Tom Brady deciding to retire and unretire and retire and unretire. And Gisele Bündchen kind of played it off in the press when she filed for divorce that she had enough. And we all bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. I wasn't going to do anything about it. And then the only thing that even in the manosphere when this came out, it was sort of like the first part of this was, well, right, if a guy like Tom Brady, and keep in mind, the number of men with higher status and higher power and as good looking as Tom Brady could probably be in North America, could probably be counted on one hand, if at all. And if a guy like Tom Brady can't keep a wife, what does that say about the rest of us? Like, I mean, how? And this is a legit question. This came up in particular the Make Circus. If a guy like Tom Brady can't keep a wife happy and content, what does that say about women in general? About what a man has to do? Because I mean, Tom Brady. And I'm going to keep saying this, Tom Brady was the absolute pinnacle, right? Like, he's literally, I'm hard pressed to think of anybody in any other sport that I mean, there's guys that are wealthier. There's been guys that have maybe been more successful in their sport, but none of them are as good looking as Tom Brady. And she files for divorce anyway. And again, she gave the impression that it was because she was sick of Tom Brady's wavering back and forth. Well, because this is 2024 and 23, people started looking and people started digging and stuff started coming out. And lo and behold, Gisele Bündchen was cheating on Tom Brady the whole freaking, like, for the last couple of years with their martial arts instructor. Now, was Tom Brady likely getting some stuff on the side when he went out on the road, particularly Buffalo, Miami, the cities, New York, the cities that he had to play in the NFC East, where the New England Patriots had. He had to take a trip to New York. He had to take a trip to Buffalo. Had to take a trip to Miami. And there's another. I can't remember who the other city is in the AFC East. But I mean, was Tom Brady getting stuff on the side? Yeah, probably. He, of course, though, he wasn't like some players who just had like a girl in every town that was waiting for him, because that's. So yeah, was Tom Brady likely being infidelis? Was he cheating on when he was on the road? I'm going to probably have to say yes, because I know a couple of guys who played professional sports at the elite level, and you know, I mean, even the most conservative guy will occasionally go out and have a dalliance with a woman every once in a while. They're not complete. Like, there's most players are not complete horn dogs, although there's some that are. But I mean, yeah, was Tom Brady probably seeing some other women on the side? Yeah, he probably was. But Tom Brady always went back to Gisele at the end of the season. Gisele tried to play up in the press that this divorce was Tom Brady's fault. And I'm going to have to assume that Tom Brady, you don't play pro sports for 2 decades, win multiple Super Bowls, and stay in shape in the league by being stupid. So Tom Brady probably knew what was going on. Gisele Bündchen tried to play this up in the press, and she probably got caught. And she knew it was. I mean, this is me going into the realm of speculation here. Gisele Bündchen probably knew that Tom Brady was gonna. If she didn't do it first, Tom Brady was likely gonna file for divorce himself. That's me speculating here. Again, the media being the way the media is, they tried to blame Tom Brady first, but of course things started getting out, and it turns out that it was the other way around, and Gisele Bündchen was the one. It's like, I mean, there's a difference between having a one-night stand and seeing the same guy behind your husband's back for 2+ years. All right, and Gisele knew what she had in Tom Brady. There's literally no chance in any capacity that Gisele Bündchen is going to improve on Tom Brady, and she won't. But she went ahead and she did it anyway. And I hate to say this, but we have to go full circle here and go around to what the MGTOW community was saying about this when it first came up. If a guy like Tom Brady cannot keep a woman, have her stay loyal to him, and have her not dalliance around, because Gisele Bündchen is going to get a fair amount of cash out of this divorce with Tom Brady. I mean, what does it say about the rest of us, right? And again, right, it is stories like this that make me glad that I have gone MGTOW. and that I don't have to worry about this. For those of you who have a stick up your ass about MGTOW, no, I'm not a quitter. I'm fully participating in my life. I'm just never getting married. I am never cohabitating. I am never going to live my life based on female approval ever again. Living up to externalized examples almost fucking killed me. It almost took me back out when I was in my 20s. Not fucking going there again. I've had too many women lie, get me in trouble, hit me with false accusations, and so on and so forth, to ever want to go there again. And it's like, yeah, is Tom Brady going to get another woman? Absolutely he is. Is he going to be smart enough to not get married again? Well, here's the thing. The manosphere is out there. Now, is Tom, and there's enough men that are now involved in the manosphere that Tom Brady either knows somebody in his immediate circle that is involved in the manosphere, or there's somebody just a step removed from Tom Brady's circle of friends that is involved in the manosphere. So, at the very least, he has had somebody drop some pearls in front of him around the manosphere and about how women operate, because that's basically the way things are going at this point, right? And the numbers are only going to get bigger. So, but this time, at this point, you can still, it can still be overlooked that some men have not been fully informed or know anything about the manosphere. They maybe only heard a thing or two at this point. So, yeah, the lesson here is that you could be the absolute fucking pinnacle of manhood, and your woman will still fucking lie, cheat on you, stab you in the back, and try to take half your fucking shit, and probably potentially even use their kids as a weapon in court against you. How much money is Tom Brady going to be out because of this divorce? I don't know, but it's probably going to be a lot. And again, right, it's stories like this. And here's the thing, and this is something that has come up time and time again. It's stories like this that get revealed to be lies down the road. If it keeps happening often enough now, thanks to the internet, these stories are going to stop working, especially when the manosphere starts reaching levels like it's going to reach let me just take a look here. I can probably find it because I did some estimating on this at some point. I am guessing here that it is going to be probably, the current estimated population of men in the manosphere is just under, probably somewhere between 9 and 950,000. That's just MGTOW. The complete manosphere is probably over 2 million, which is basically 1%, 2% of the fertile male population, and more like almost 2.5% of the fertile male population, and 1% of the total male population. In another couple of years, though, it's going to be, by the end of 2026, for instance, by my estimation, it's going to be over 2 million guys going MGTOW, and that is just MGTOW. That does not include the red pill. That does not include the men's rights movement. So the numbers are probably going to be somewhere between 4 and 4.5 million in the manosphere, which is going to almost be, it's going to be 5% of the fertile male population. It's going to be between 2.5 and 3% of the active male population in North America. At that point, it's going to be impossible to bury the information that's available. So yeah, will Tom Brady know better? Maybe have people pass information along for him on how to deal with this. Maybe has he read it? No. Have people close to him read this information? Yes, they have. So you're going to start seeing you're going to start seeing more stories like this come out where, and it's going to reach a point where basically one woman too many is going to cry wolf, and people are just going to go, yeah, sure, sure you are. Sure, you're there. Sure, that's exactly what's going on. Right. Like the ability for women to cry wolf and make the guy guilty. Those days are rapidly coming to an end. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to V.
Actually, yes, I am remembering something. I did a show like a year ago, maybe over a year ago, with this as a subject. Tom Brady, he may have been an extremely accomplished athlete. He may be a decent-looking guy. But from what I know, he's a bit of a douchebag.
That would almost be expected from somebody in that position. Not that I'm defending him, but
okay. So, I'm not going to say someone's a douchebag just because of personality. I'm going to call them douchebag because of their actions. So, something he was doing, somehow he got access to, and I don't know how, but he committed some kind of welfare fraud in Louisiana, of all places, poor place. He screwed, allegedly, these people out of millions of dollars in welfare that should have gone to the people that went to him. It happened so long ago. I'm not exactly sure on details, but also he had been ghosting people who paid him for speeches. He would just take the money and just not even show up. So he's a bit of, and if that's come out on the surface, then what else is he doing that isn't? Because when you have that kind of money, that kind of notoriety, there are going to be people that are going to be there to protect your reputation, even law enforcement. So, look at the case with Sean Diddy Combs. His empire is about to start crashing down on him because there's just too many people coming out. He can't.
I can't wait for that one to fall. I can't wait for that one to blow wide open.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think Mr. Brady just might be a douchebag. And actually, since I found that out, I've been wishing bad luck on him. So maybe he deserves this divorce. So, if you want to counter that's fine. But that's just the information that I have.
That makes sense. Anything else, V, or do we want to have Rearson take us out?
Oh, he's muted.
Take us out.
All right. Take us out as only someone that comes in with a ball game can do. No, thank you. I don't fucking care. Both sides are going to be equally innocent and equally guilty. Is Brady a saint? Not from New Orleans, but an actual, more real, genuine, wouldn't lie to your face kind of shit kind of guy? No, apparently not. Giselle probably had enough of all of it. I don't know. And if she's going to be fucking around with her martial artist, okay, great. He was giving her the attention that she probably was looking for, needed. And let's not kid ourselves here. Being typically being in the sport, there's that competition, there's that drive. And that drive typically is only going to be there with a high level of testosterone. So Brady and NFL football players and baseball players, tennis, soccer, American, European, well, football for the rest of the world outside of North America. The men that participate in this sport, they have that drive. They have that. It has to be just right. Whatever the case may be. So I wouldn't. Did he have women lined up like Tiger Woods did? No idea. Maybe. Probably. But would it be surprised if he didn't have one in a few cities? I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't know. And I really don't care. Football for me has always been a case of I didn't get it. I mean, yeah, you got 4 attempts to move 10 yards, and there's the strategy. Okay, you get over here, and this is the plan. I get it. But with people losing their shit over football, well, I mean, I suppose it's no different than when I was a avid baseball fan leading up to Toronto winning the 92 and 93 World Series. Moved out to Alberta, and my interest in the sport waned. It's dead on arrival now. Like I really don't care. I mean, Toronto had that flare up for the playoffs. People were suddenly wearing the Toronto paraphernalia, and looking at this kind of going, "Why aren't you wearing this normally?" Oh, it's because of the playoffs. Okay, yeah, sure. What do you? And with the Calgary Flames, it's the same thing here. I just don't get excited. At the end of the day, these are people that are mercenaries. They get moved around. They do the best that they can for the new unit that they're in, i.e. the team, but the squad, and fuck, whatever. But if she had any thoughts that Tom wouldn't be fucking around on her, again, probably because of his high testosterone levels, just needs to get a piece of ass once in a while. Okay, fine, whatever. I mean, the spouse and I have talked about this because of the lack of intimacy. She has said, if I had money and I was going to be screwing around, she's like, I don't care. But I don't have the money, and I don't. I want to, but I don't. Now, that's a very intimate detail in my life, but that's what the conversation between the two of us has been. Now, is that the case? Would this have been an agreement between those two? Maybe. I mean, she would be living the lap of luxury. She would have the lifestyle that women would die for, would kill for, if given a chance. And not to say that someone such as myself, and I'm still quite thin, and I've got a beer belly. My arms are, I kind of consider my arms to be kind of like spider legs. There's nothing there. Really, there isn't. Would I want to envision living the life that Brady has or had? Yeah. Am I going to get it? Nope. And am I going to be frothing at the mouth over it or any sense of jealousy? Nope. Don't need it. Don't want it. That's not me. Now, I've got a feeling that this is going to be this could go either way. This divorce could either go violently public, or I think for both of them, I would do the least bit as far as the sordid details if this was settled out of court. Either way, doesn't matter to me because this does not affect my life in any way, shape, or form. And I can flat out strongly say, I don't give a shit because I don't. Like, this is one of those things that I can choose to have it affect my life, but there's no actual impact on what I'm going to be doing on a day-to-day basis going forward. So, whatever. If she might keep branching, sure. Is she only? Yeah, could very well be. Does she get tired of Tom not being around because she wanted him to? Yeah, quite likely. It's quite possible. I mean, this kind of thing is what happened with, I believe, with Phil Collins with his wife. And this is what led up to the song of In the Air Tonight. She was asking him to stay home to, just to work on the relationship, that he was gung ho, he had to go on tour and everything else. He came back and that was it. It's over. Who was right and who was wrong in that situation? They both were right and they were both wrong. And I've got a feeling that this whole thing with Brady, this is not a cut and dry scenario. Anybody who's going to side on one over the other, go ahead. It does not accomplish anything in your actual day-to-day personal life. So whatever happens. I know that we will go back to this topic once, if the divorce goes through the court system and the press is there following every little bit, every little detail. It's going to feel like this will be the civil court case of what OJ went through. I'm still not going to care. I have no vested interest. I have no interest at all. So let them do what they're going to do. Let them say what they're going to say. And however the chips are going to fall, they're going to fall. So I got nothing more on this one, my friends, and I'm done.
Okay, for me in particular, again, having been involved in the manosphere for so long, yeah, you're right. Both of these people are not completely innocent. Am I surprised that Tom Brady might be a bit of an egotistical douchebag? No, I'm not surprised in any form or capacity. Tom Brady probably has an ego, probably as large as probably some of the most famous rock stars out there. He's probably more than a little bit pretentious. You need to understand that Tom Brady has something to be pretentious and egotistical about, though. That being said, yeah, I don't believe he's completely innocent. Yeah, I do believe that he probably had probably more than a couple of women in some other city somewhere. The point of the matter is that Wayne Gretzky, who, by the way, is a guy statistically who blows Tom Brady away in terms of dominance, has stayed married to Janet Jones for going on 30 plus years. There have been athletes that were at the peak that were probably fooling around behind their wives, behind their backs, that have stayed married to their wives. I mean, Mario Lemieux's been married to the same woman since before he even got into the NHL. And I'm using hockey examples because they're the ones that I'm most familiar about. But I mean, there have been players at the same level as Brady that have been able to stay faithful and have not had their wives go and file divorce on them. Then again, of course, you also have situations like Hulk Hogan, for instance, where that wasn't the case. Bottom line here, and this is the reason why I brought this up as a topic, is that this is called the Red Pill Nation, and I do feel obligated to bring up manosphere content. Now, from the straight up manosphere point of view, Gisele Bündchen went to the media, misrepresented the facts, and everybody just bought into it and just assumed, and this happens so often that it's kind of like ridiculous, that Tom Brady was the one that was responsible for the divorce, when in fact there is a very strong possibility here that Tom Brady was maybe getting sick and tired of Gisele's infidelity and was kind of starting to put the heat on Gisele to either end it with him, the guy she's now with, or to end it with the guy she was cheating on him with, or to end it with him. And she made her choice. Was Tom Brady the type of person that you do that to? Well, maybe. I don't know the whole story, and like Rusin, I really don't care. The example for the manosphere, though, is that if a guy like if it doesn't work out for a guy like Tom Brady, like, seriously, how is it going to work out for the rest of us? Like, you can literally be at the pinnacle, and this can still happen to you. Because this also, it wasn't exactly the same, but the top soccer player in Europe got falsely accused of rape and whatever. And this was less than a year ago. We didn't cover it on the show, but it's not a coincidence that he's now playing over in North America because of the blowback that he received. Potentially because and I don't know the story because we didn't cover it on the show, potentially because the media there raked him over the coals, and it turns out that he didn't do it, right? Like, he's currently playing with FC Miami. I can't not Ronaldo. I think, yeah, maybe it was Ronaldo, or it's one of those guys, but he's now playing over in North America for FC Miami at this point. So yeah, this is just something to think about, guys. It's like, no matter what you do, no matter how dominant you become, no matter how rich you are, no matter how good looking, no matter how much plastic surgery you put yourself under, no matter how much adapting you do to the dating market, there's always going to be a guy, even if it is on a subconscious level, or it's in some way that you do that you just never even considered. You can attempt to be emotionally available and apply security, and there's always going to be some other guy out there that does something or has a quality that's better than what you've got. And given the way the sexual marketplace is going right now, why are you bothering to get married again? Why are you even considering it? Because Rearson and I did a video earlier today where you had literally guys from the Daily Wire saying, oh, well, yeah, the marriage system is corrupt as hell, right? But you should just ignore that and go ahead anyway. And you talk to the PUA faction inside the manosphere. They try to say the red pill, but I mean, a red pill falls basically for the entire manosphere. The PUA faction says, well, make the money and the chicks will arrive. And it's sort of like, well, yeah, you know what? Like, if you do that and you go out and consciously show it off, or you have a position like, say, Tom Brady, where you have no choice, you know, like, you're going to attract the wrong type of woman. And you got to understand that there are women out there that are absolute predators, that they will physically push other women out of their way to get at these guys. Think about that if you're thinking that you want to start advertising how much money you've got. Right?
Well, something that I've done, because I've always heard, you get the money, you get the power, you get the respect. Well, I kind of did it backwards. I got the respect, I got the power, and then the money's coming in. So that's how, I mean, during that process, you meet somebody, well, they're probably better off of a choice than someone who wants you for your money.
Well, I mean, I will say this about gold diggers in particular. And I mean, there's been some fake videos and whatever. And maybe they're real or not, but I've seen videos on both YouTube and Twitter and Facebook where a guy pretends to be poor and he approaches these hot women and these hot women shoot him down. And then just as they're leaving, some person will pull up in a Lambo and it turns out that this will be his vehicle. And now, whether it's fake or whether it's real, what you will see is that you will see these women come back and try to get back in after they had literally just shot this guy down 60 seconds earlier. Now, is all of that faked and staged? Yeah, there's a very real possibility that some of that is faked and staged. But how much of that is actually real? Well, again, right? I've had the privilege of talking to guys at that level. And they will freely talk about how when they went out, they would literally see full-on gold diggers pushing women out of their way to get at guys like Tom Brady or to get at a professional hockey player or a professional football player or a musician or somebody like that because of the status. So these women do exist. And again, when I see a story like this, I am just eternally grateful that I am no longer looking, and I am eternally grateful that the abuse that I suffered and the trauma that I suffered as a kid from the women that I grew up with made me aware of female, specifically seeing what happened to my brother for sure, was enough of a lesson for me to be very suspicious of women's motives and what women said and did, that I was paranoid or mentally and emotionally stunted enough that I didn't get. I mean, I was reasonably successful with women, but I mean, it was not something like I was glad that I never really got. I had a couple of relationships over the time that I was involved, but I'm glad that none of them actually went anywhere. Because I mean, I would have ended up like there's a very serious possibility that I would have ended up like my brother. In fact, I'm going to say the chances of me ending up the same as my brother was about 99.9%. And I'm also, as I discovered back in 2016, particularly when it came to the false accusations, I was raised by these women with a certain personality type that made me a sitting duck for false accusations. And I had to make some serious personality adjustments after the fact to avoid, and had to reestablish some rules in my life in order to avoid situations like this. So yeah, glad it didn't happen to me. And if you're going in, I mean, I actually do have money to spend now, whatever, but I mean, it's like I'm making it a serious mental point here to Clark Kent myself, and to not make what I've got a little bit too obvious now, because I don't want to be dealing with somebody who's going to drain me dry. I don't want that in my life. And does anybody else have anything more to say? Because we're going to wrap this up.
I'm good.
Okay, well, that is it for tonight then. We will see you all on next Sunday. We will be covering the Oscars next week. Again, like I said, I posted up the winners tonight. Barbie, as expected, Barbie did win something. As was probably predicted, Oppenheimer walked away with the lion's share of the awards. Yes, they did give Barbie a single Oscar. And of course, we will be hearing about that in Feminist Rags tomorrow. They'll be spurging out about this. But whatever, we'll discuss that next for 366. Sorry, and.